What's up, everybody? What's going on? It's Lito from Pels Talk. I'm here with Ross and Mason, and fortunately, we got to talk about a very anticlimactic number 8 pick. I'm not. No, I shouldn't say that. I mean, it's an eighth pick. It's a lottery pick, so you're still gonna find talent, but we thought we would go a little bit higher. How y'all feeling about it?
Lukewarm. I mean, well, it was. I mean,
Jesus.
it was mostly chalk in terms of how it fell. And I'll be honest, I don't know a ton outside of kind of the projected top 4 or 5. So I think it'll be a cool opportunity, to be honest, to sort of dig into some of those guys in the 6 to 15 range and see. And then I'm sure you'll hear a lot about other options for the pick too. Both players,
Yeah.
trades, packages, all kind of stuff. So that talk will really heat up here over the next few weeks, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, look, if the front office has taught us anything over the last year or so, it's that they can evaluate talent from the draft, right? You saw what they did last year, and so I'm going to trust them, let them go to work. I feel like this pick is one they've got to make. I think it's as opposed to it's early. We'll hear about the scenarios, but I think that they've got to keep this pick. You got to getting the cost controlled asset. Especially if you think you can help the team quicker. I mean, I think that's something you got to take advantage of with a team that's about to get pretty expensive.
That was one of my questions that I was going to ask y'all. With where we fell in the draft, would you still keep the pick now, or do you move on, try to find a ready player?
Yeah, I mean, there's always scenarios that's going to be floated, right? But I think as of right now, I want to keep it. I want to let this front office go to work and find the right guy for the team. And if we can go and fleece the Sacramento Kings and take 4 from them, I'm not opposed to that either.
Hey.
I kind of agree. And what's interesting is, especially if you look at the way that we drafted, going back in the short history, right? Last year, we took a bunch of guys that had played a lot in college and had some success, even a couple 4-year guys, right? And when you look at that sort of 5 to 10 range and some of the names listed in there, you see guys that played multiple years in college. So I'm kind of curious. I think that's interesting. It clearly that our front office values that type of player, and there's going to be a few players that they're going to take a long look at. I think that sort of fit that same mold. So it'll be interesting. I kind of agree with Mason though. I think we keep the pick and they'll take a look at a whole lot of players here over the next month.
I'm looking at Josh, the Pels fan, who says Benedict Mathurin, who is honestly at that position. If he falls there, that's the guy that I would like for the Pels to go after. I know, we're coming in this kind of we're coming into it with sort of a blind eye where we didn't know where the pick was going to fall. So I'm not trying to put y'all under any pressure to try to. I know we may not know who's going to be available at what position, but y'all have any guy that you're maybe interested in?
My only response at this point is take the best player available. I'm not a draft for need type person. So I really think in the NBA, you've got to take the guy you think is going to be the best player. So that's kind of where I stand as for who we take. Got to get to work on that.
Yeah. I think I'm kind of in the same bucket as long as that player is not a center. I don't want to see us take one of these like project because it seems like the centers that are sort of in that same gap are guys sort of similar to Jackson Hayes-ish, and I don't know if I want a project per se, at least not at that position. So I would say best player available that's not a center.
In the words of Five, we have enough projects in New Orleans. So let me ask you this, just hypothetically speaking, because we don't obviously don't have it. But let's say we did have the first pick. Like who would y'all maybe go after?
Mason, you can have that.
I mean, Jabari Smith is, I think, who I go after. I think he's. I like. I mean, so the top 3 or 4 guys, I don't know enough to say confidently this guy's definitely number 1, but I feel like Jabari's he checks all the boxes for me. I really feel like he's the guy I would have taken. But we'll see who ends up happening.
I got you, Ross. You're not touching that one, huh?
No, I don't. I mean, it's like I said. I before we went live, I said this. I kind of almost feel bad for the Magic because this just isn't a year that I'm like super excited about. I would be real excited if I had the first pick because I think, you could probably make a reasoned argument for any of those guys that are in the top 3 or 4. So yeah, I don't know. Fortunately, I don't think the Pelicans have to worry. We don't have to worry about making that decision now. But yeah, I don't know. It's curious. Like I said, I'm interested to see who the first guys they bring in are. And I'm more focused on the position. I think I'm curious what positions they bring in. But to Mason's point, they're going to bring in, basically everyone. So
I guess, well, as far as need, what would you say is the need, the thing that we have to shore up going into this coming year?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to get another guard, especially somebody that can, take maybe a little bit of playmaking off of CJ's plate. And if not that, we always need shooting. I mean, the shooting got better, I think, as the year went on. Obviously, once CJ came over, and then Trey shot the ball a lot better in the second half of the year. But we need more shooting. So where at any position, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the starting lineup necessarily, but I do think it's weird to say. I was pretty high on Devontae Graham as like a third guard type role at full strength for this team, and he had a rough second half of the season, and so. I think getting a little bit more guard depth. I mean, hopefully Kyra comes back and he can be that. So I don't want to just rush to go get somebody without looking at him. But I mean, I agree with Ross. I mean, you got to space the floor. We saw what Trey Murphy did for this team against the Suns. Even in the minutes he was in, it was a different open floor for the rest of the guys to operate. So just need more of that.
Yeah, true. No, I totally agree with both of that. I mean, guard play is. I hate to say lackluster, or it has been lackluster, but it wasn't certainly one of the bright spots of the team. Going into this offseason, sure, Kyra coming back. I don't know Devontae Graham. I don't even know what you do there. Like, is that y'all? Do y'all feel like that potential, is that player irreparable as far as like his insertion back into the lineup, or do you just move off from that?
I don't think it's – I mean, I don't want to lose sight of what he did the first couple of years in the league. I mean, I don't think he's just – I think we found out he's not really playable in the playoffs or in games that, I think – but I do think he can be a serviceable player in the regular season. I think, you can't play him with CJ. You can't play him with another undersized guard. But there is a role for him on this team if you want to keep him. I think, obviously, the challenge comes with when you got to figure out – staying under the luxury tax, right? And so they're going to be, it's good. The team can be more and more expensive, and so his money, it's not terrible, but for what you might be getting from him, maybe better allocated elsewhere.
Sure, yeah. Let me ask y'all this. Let me start with Ross. So Mason, I saw something you said about the luxury tax, and I'm kind of curious about how y'all feel about the. Well, I saw what you said, Mason, but as far as the Deandre Ayton situation, as far as maybe offering him a deal, how do y'all think that will go with us? Or do you think that's a point that we should look at?
Yeah, and Mason, I know you looked at this earlier, and I agreed with everything you said, so I might just let you take it. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's the best. It would be the best use of our cap space or potential cap space, and you'd have to kind of do some wiggling to get them in there. But yeah, Mason, I might let you just briefly talk about that.
Well, I mean, so I think there's one thing that was actually said over Twitter, Schmidt and I remember who said it, but it's a really good point that I haven't mentioned about the Ayton situation, and it's basically the risk with flexibility. And so when I say that, if you go get Ayton, and you assume that you trade Jonas and let's say Jackson Hayes for just to make the money work. I mean, Schmidt's talked about it. It's the base year compensation piece makes it hard to trade it in the first place, but if you do that, you've got a bunch of guys making 30 mil plus, and then you've got a bunch of guys making less than 5. If you're trying to make trades, that's tough. And so you're pretty much locking yourself into a team like that. And so I like Ayton a lot. He might even be worth close to what he's going to get paid. I think for some team he will be, but it puts the Pelicans in a tough spot to maneuver from there if they feel like this team is not put together the right way.
Yeah, sure. No, I totally agree with that. I mean, you don't want to handicap yourself as far as your flexibility. And I mean, maybe you give, Jonas is playing fine. Jackson, I mean, I'm not touching that one, but I think you just got to let this thing play out. And Griff said, he doesn't really foresee any major turnover anyway. So, I don't think that'll be something that they maybe will swing for.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get a lot of you're getting a lot of internal help, right? Coming back next year, you get Zion back, and then you've got 3 really young players that played pretty damn well this year. And so I think the focus, and you're kind of starting to you're hearing that a little bit from the front offices, the focus is going to be on continued development for the players we have. And continuing to sort of mold what we have around Zion, I think. But yeah, I mean, you got a lot of young guys that played pretty well. So any, small development is going to go a long way around the stars that you currently have. So they're in a great spot. Like I said, the lottery didn't go quite, I say it didn't go the way we wanted it to, but I mean, we got the pick we were supposed to get. So, I mean, the odds worked the way it was supposed to work this year, unfortunately, for us. But they'll have some good options, I think. And we'll see what the next couple of weeks look like in terms of who they bring in.
Ross, you had the most disappointed face ever when we logged onto this, and we were talking about the 8th pick. Like you look so just like.
I mean, it's the 8th pick. Like I don't like it's not. I'm not gonna get super jacked up about that. I mean, it just is what it is. I don't. And we don't have enough time to like talk about it, but I hate college basketball. Like it's just not a product that I enjoy watching that much. So like I'll watch the worst NBA game that you can have on TV before I'll watch, basically any college basketball game. That's just a personal preference. So I don't know a ton of guys yet outside of that, the top 3 or 4 that you sort of hear a lot about and they show a lot of highlights of and everything else. So I'll spend some time going through the other players, but yeah, I'm just not a huge college basketball aficionado.
I feel you, man. Well, shit, man, that's all I got. I don't really have anything else, y'all. if y'all good, I'm good.
Good.
Cool,
yeah,
man.
We'll roll with it. We'll talk to y'all soon.
Soon, man. Holla at y'all, man. Pro Pels Talk. Thank y'all. Please subscribe on YouTube, by the way, because Justin would kill me if I didn't say that. Shout out to Company Burger, the sponsor for this one. Shout out to DraftKings, Code Boot, BOT. For Mason and Ross, I'm Lito. I'm out.
See you guys.